Thunderstash Gaming has gone hands-on with the Switch 2, and we're going to talk about it on today's Nintendo Powercast. Mr. Thunderstash, how's it going, baby?
Excellent. Finally getting caught up right after an impromptu trip to New York.
Yo, you're gonna have to give us the details on this because it sounded like it was kind of a last minute thing, and you were like, I'm out. I'm doing it."
Yeah, it was a last minute thing. I signed up for the waiting list, like I'm sure everybody else did, and I signed up for every time slot in all three states here in the U.S. and didn't get selected. Which of course, millions applied for this, right? And each time slot that you remember seeing, and for all the listening viewers, if you tried signing up, you saw how many time slots there were per day. Each time slot had 24 people. That's it. So think about that. Millions applied, hundreds got to go. So basically what happened is I got an email on the 27th. I had back-to-back emails from Nintendo. One of them was something about, I think, a wish list game that was on sale.
Oh, okay.
And then stacked right on top of it was that, I just saw on the body of it, the little body that I could see, Nintendo Switch 2 experience and why. And I'm like, click on it, and it's like, yo, there's 2 tickets available. If you want to go, you got to let us know in 48 hours. So it was a week before,
Oh, okay.
which to me, if you're planning a trip to New York, getting airfare, hotel a week before is last minute because
Oh, yeah.
we have to decide. And then the following day, I think the 28th is when I booked everything. So yeah, I was just like, whoa, I was not expecting that. Obviously. And I'm like, I got to go. I'd never been to New York. And the funny thing is, Josh, and I've told only a few people this, but even as a kid, when I say kid, like a teenager, right? Late teen, I always said, I think the only way I would probably end up going to New York was if it was something Nintendo related, like going to the Nintendo World Store. Because that's something I said I'd always wanted to do. And of course, the store was only in New York. Obviously, on May 15th, it's going to be in San Fran now. But I'd always said that, like, I think the only way I'd go there is if it was something Nintendo related. I swear, I think I said this at least a handful of times 20 years ago. And then sure enough, that's what happened. So it was pretty wild.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, it still kills me to this day that they don't have a store in Seattle. I'm like, that's where your guys' headquarters are at. I run into Nintendo employees at like PAX West and stuff, and they're like, oh, we got all this gear at the you can go into the employee shop, and I'm like, well, I can't, like
Yeah.
it was like, come on. I'm glad at least we're getting one on the West Coast now. But
I agree. It makes no sense. I went out to Washington a couple years ago. We stopped there to Seattle, and we went to Canada. And of course, this is when I was a director at Loan Depot. This might have been like 2000, maybe 18. And I was with my girlfriend at the time. I said, well, we got to stop by Nintendo because I don't know why I'll ever be here again.
Right.
Because it was a stop for, I think, like maybe 24 to 36 hours on our way to Canada. And we got an Airbnb to stay in overnight. And it wasn't that far. We ended up taking like the bus there. And I think it was on a Saturday. They were closed, but I saw the campus. I have a picture in front of the, like the cement sign that's out front of Nintendo.
Oh, yeah.
And I saw their basketball courts with like all the trees over it and everything. And like for someone, who lives in the desert, I'm just like, oh my God, that looks so nice, man. Like so relaxing. The weather out here was perfect. It was that summer that there was a lot of wildfires. Like the sky was orange. I don't know if you
Oh,
remember that.
oh
It was
yes.
very
Yeah.
bad.
Oh,
Yeah.
I have horror stories. I literally, one of the passes I needed to get home from closed, and they were closing the other one as I was driving, like going door to door evacuating people because the fires were moving through Eastern Washington. So yeah, it was literally like living in a disaster movie. It was crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. So to your point though, I wish they did have something like the
Hmm.
store there because all I got to do was take a bus for quite a while just to show up there, take a picture in front of the Nintendo sign, go up to the window, look through it, see if I can see anything, and then all right,
Yeah.
well, I think that's it.
Yeah. I had a friend who was this close to getting us um a tour, and it, like, just something fell through last minute. I think the person that was going to do it may have ended up moving on or something like that. So Lindsay's probably listening actually. So she'll let me know what happened. She'll remind me. What I just have to comment, like when you talked about the basketball court with the trees, and then you're from the desert, like it just made me think of like the different like sporting levels, like the different sport levels in Mario games, in Mario sports games, right? Where like
Yeah,
there's some in like, thinking about like aces, how like there's some that are in the jungle or whatever with the trees everywhere, and then some in the desert. I'm just like, oh my god, that is so fitting. So
totally.
um but you made it to New York. You you wheeled and dealed a little bit and got to stay longer than just the what is it, 2 hours that they were going to let you stay. You got to stay for five, something like that.
Yeah, yep, that's right. So the way that worked out was, they told us that we had to get in line to play Donkey Kong because that's the last game and it's in its own section. So it's completely sectioned off, and it's purposefully that way because it's on your way out. So once you go in to play Donkey Kong, you cannot go back the other way.
Mm,
That's how it worked. We didn't know that, so they said right at I think 1:30, you had to be in line to play, and we went to the line, and there was nobody in line. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Like nobody from our group wants to play or what? And so we went and played. And then they said, basically, you got to leave, right? There's the exit. Make sure you go get your reward, your prize, the Switch 2 backpack. And I had no idea Michaela was going to do this. Okay. Because, like, look, you guys may not know this. You may not know this, Josh. The audience may not. Uh, but, like, I used to be a total, like, master bullshitter. Like, none other, man.
yeah.
And so anytime I could wheel and deal, right, I was doing it. As I've gotten older, I don't do it as much. I'm just like, it's fine, whatever, move on. I'm just happy to be here, right? I'm just glad I got to do this. Michaela, I don't know if I rubbed off on her or what, but straight up, she's like, you know, they never said we couldn't go back in. They said we had to be here, right at 1:30 to play. But they didn't say we couldn't go back in. Otherwise, we would have waited till the very end and played for, another 30 minutes or 45 minutes, whatever it was. But they didn't tell us that. And I don't know if this is the case or not, to be honest with you. Like, I don't know if she was BSing or if this is true. And actually didn't even, it's funny, I didn't even ask her, but I was just like in a zone, right? I was in another world, just so excited to be there. So when they were talking on the mic, I don't know if they said that, but Michaela made it sound convincing and I just went along with it. And so the Nintendo rep was like, normally we don't do this, but maybe I will. He's like, let me see what we can do. He's like, anyways, he's like, you got Mario's mustache, anyways. Maybe I should let you back in. Like they were all the Nintendo reps were joking about this the whole time.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
which was funny. So he radios someone, tells them someone that's on the floor in the main area, right? And briefly explains to him, and then he opened up the what is it called? The line rope. Open up the line rope. It's like, you guys go ahead and go play. You guys are fine. Don't worry about it. That was
Ah,
it.
I love it.
Yeah, that was it. And so we ended up staying till I think around like 4 4:15, if I recall looking at the clock when we were actually leaving. So yeah, we ended up getting to play for 5 hours, which was obviously amazing.
Yo, this is so similar to what Nintendo did for us at Nintendo Live. You were supposed to get a 1-day pass. They let us in all 4 days. Like
Oh,
we got to experience Nintendo Live like nobody else. Like they're so great. Like when you know, we didn't even have passes to get in, and then they were like, "Oh, come on in," and just it like they're pretty amazing at times. Depending on what they're able to do.
yeah, I will say this briefly, like my experience, because I know we got to talk about stuff, but my experience with Nintendo has been nothing but great. When I was in high school, my cousin Jim and I went to the Nintendo Cube Club in downtown Phoenix. I don't know if you remember the Cube Club, but
No.
this was the demoing for the public leading up to the GameCube launch.
Oh, okay.
And they had Wave Race there, Luigi's Mansion, NBA Courtside,
Yeah.
Super Monkey Ball, obviously Rogue Squadron or Rogue Leader, and had a couple other games. But it was in downtown Phoenix. My cousin had like recently got his license. Uh, I recall gas being dirt cheap because it was right after 9/11.
Mm.
This was when it was like 79 cents a gallon.
Oh
It
yeah.
was wild. And so we're like, yeah, like let's go. And I think you had to get tickets, either print it or you got them at a retail location, maybe like a Best Buy or something. I can't recall. But we got tickets and they were so cool. They had Snapple in glass bottles, which, high quality, right?
Oh yeah.
But endless amounts of Snapple. And as a kid, as a teenager, I'm like, this is great. We're just playing video games, trying out all the Snapple flavors that I usually wouldn't buy because they're too expensive at the store for a teenager.
Right.
Yeah. And they were so nice. We all talked to them as a kid, and I was telling them how big of a fan I am. And they invited us to come back the next day.
Oh
And then we
man.
went. And then the next day. And we went the whole week, Josh. So
Oh, it's awesome.
I think they were there for 4 or 5 days. I think we went like 4 times.
Yeah.
Uh, we got to know them. They gave me a Nintendo Cube Club staff shirt, which was like a collared shirt.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So again, like to your point, my experience with them has been great. Like when you talk to them, they're super cool. And if they can, you know, I don't know, pull strings for someone who's a big fan who like really cares, they'll do it. They
Yeah.
get it. They're fans too. Probably at the end of the day, right? Why else would you work there?
Yeah, exactly. No, they've been so amazing. I like just so amazing. My contact at Nintendo now is just like I kind of have two of them, and they're both incredible. So
I bet.
it's
Dream
yeah.
job.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, let's talk about the Switch 2 experience. And I do want to preface this by saying, guys, make sure to go check out Thunderstash Gaming on YouTube, who, congrats, just hit 100K.
Thank
And so huge milestone. He's got footage and commentary and everything for every game that we're going to be talking about now. So if you want a deeper dive, make sure to head on over to his YouTube channel and check out all the games there. We're not going to talk a whole lot about Mario Kart on this because following this episode of Nintendo Powercast, The Dirt, which is my Mario Kart podcast, is going to be getting a brand new episode, and we're going to be talking about the build and kind of what we think what we're going to see from the direct coming up in at the end of the week. So with that, Stash, I'm just going to kind of let you take it away and like just kind of go through like maybe like how the experience went, and then just kind of maybe hang out on each game for a little while, letting us know what your thoughts were and how the Switch felt. I mean, there's so much, right? There's so much to
Yeah.
get into.
Yeah, there is. So I guess from the beginning, again, Nintendo was great, very kind, very hospitable. Um, Even when you like right when you walk into the Switch 2 experience and you're in the waiting area, they just have like classic Nintendo music playing. It's the little touches, right? It's little things like that that I really appreciate. Uh, Everybody was as kind as could be. It felt like Willy Wonka.
I
That was the
love
probably
that.
the best way I could describe it. Yeah, like I got a golden ticket and everybody was just like so happy for you to be there. When you walk in, they got a guy on the microphone welcoming everyone. They're like giving you a round of applause. The energy was very good. It was very positive. Obviously, there was a lot of excitement in the air. But right when I got in, they had like Switch and all the accessories on display in a glass cage, and then they had podiums with the Switch where you can actually just go up to it and pick it up, grab it, take the Joy Cons off. So that was one thing I did in like my first video, which was like a recap of the event. I took the Switch Joy-Con off and let the magnet, snap into place multiple times so people kind of see how that works. And I gotta say, it was seamless. It was
Yeah.
easy. You don't have to do anything. It just pulls it in. I know another concern people had, and I think we've talked about it too, Josh. But the first time the the Switch was shown with the Joy-Con removed, and it just shows that the magnet
The
actually.
little tab.
Yeah, everyone was so concerned about it breaking, and I addressed that in the video too. Like, I could put my hand right up to it flush, and it was like not sticking out. So I don't know if we saw bad angles of the pictures before, but that thing's not going to break unless you take a hammer to it.
Mm,
Like, you could drop your Switch 2, that's not going to break because it's
got you.
recessed. So that was the first thing we just kind of got to ask the Nintendo reps any questions. Obviously, I asked them about pre-orders and laughed about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I wish we knew too. I'm like, I know.
Well,
Um,
let's talk about the feel of the Switch. How the Joy
yeah,
Cons feel. Like the probably the last 6 months, I have been using a GameSir Galileo, um, like a Bluetooth controller that it's basically an Xbox controller that's split and Hall effect sticks. I mean, it's literally an Xbox controller. The bumpers are the same. It has basically analog triggers, but they're still just digital, but they have that analog feel
yeah,
because the Joy Cons are not that comfortable. I don't like the
no,
short throw on the stick, you know, and so I've been using this for, like I said, like 6 months. Do
yeah.
you do you think after holding the Switch 2, you would look for a third party controller like this, or will it be all first party stuff for you?
Yeah. So I just want to kind of agree with you on what you just said as far as the comfortability on Switch One. I use a Nitro deck because it's not comfortable for me to hold the Joy Cons,
Okay,
and
perfect.
it kind of sucks because the rumble is not nearly as good in the Nitro deck. It
Mm,
feels like first gen rumble. Uh, so I would prefer to use the Joy Cons, but they're just not comfortable. Now with Switch Two, completely different. It is comfortable. It's extremely comfortable. It feels much more ergonomic. The Joy Cons are bigger. They feel like they have just more mass to them. I don't feel like they're going to slip out of my hand or like I'm gripping it in an odd way. Like, it actually feels like it's more form fitting. As far as the joysticks are bigger, like the actual thumbstick on the joystick. And one of my first takeaways after filling out the joysticks is that they're not the same ones, obviously. This is different technology. And I know Nintendo commented saying that they're not Hall effect, right? And there's been some discourse about using the term Hall effect and whether that is part of the reason why they said that. And I think what matters most at the end of the day is that it feels like a Hall effect joystick. So whatever they want to call it, right? Whatever terminology they want to use, uh, is what it is. But it feels great, and I walked away thinking that we're not going to have any issues with stick drift, and I think that's probably what's most important, right? That's probably what people care about the most.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I was with that. Now, let me get this pulled up here for you guys too.
Yeah, no worries. We're just switching some gameplay
There you
footage real
go.
quick. There it is.
Throw some GameCube NSO up there for you, and some Hades too after this.
So Switch felt good. Let's just stick on hardware for a minute.
Yeah.
Switch felt good. Does it feel? You know how the joy, like I like to call it the fresh Joy-Con feel, where everything feels nice and tight when you put a brand new set of Joy-Con on, and then like 2 days after, it's like kind of loose and wiggly. Obviously, I'm assuming these kits are probably haven't been touched too much, but I also kind of get the impression that with the magnets, it's probably not going to loosen up much.
Yeah. That's exactly what I gathered after pulling them off and putting them back on a few times and just feeling the sturdiness of the unit. So like if I were to put Joy-Cons on my Switch right now and shake it, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I can hear the rattle of the
Gotcha.
Joy-Cons on the rail on my current Switch. But when I did that, of course, with the Switch 2, there's no rattling, there's no
Yeah.
rail. Like they're in there, man. It's
Right. Right.
tight and it's just a very premium fit.
Got it. Okay. Now moving on from the Switch itself, the let's talk Pro controller, and then you're even using the GameCube controller right now, so I'm curious
Mhm.
on that as well. So, how did the Pro controller feel?
Pro controller felt more premium than the
Okay.
Switch One Pro controller. That was kind of the first just initial thought. And I bought the Pro controller day one, with my Switch. So I've used it
Same.
the whole
I'm still
time.
using the same one.
Yeah, I used it on the plane. I'll literally put my Switch up with the kickstand on the table tray and then use my Pro controller while we're flying. I love the Pro controller. Huge fan. One of my all-time favorite controllers. But I will say that after using the Pro controller too, I don't know why I would use it again, right?
Mm.
I will give it to someone else to use when they come over because again, it's much better than a Mad Catz controller
Right.
or
Right. Right.
Pelican.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I love that
it
you did
felt
not say Power A or Hori. You went with you went with the old school Mad Cats. Like that's
yeah.
beautiful.
Well, I will say that I think the third party accessory makers like Power A and Hori are much better than what we grew up with Mad Cats and Pelican.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh,
try
no
not to throw any
question.
shade at the new guys. I think they've done a lot better than Mad Cats and Pelican.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
so felt more premium. The HD Rumble 2, I know has been something that people have talked about and very cool. And I know we'll talk about Mario Kart obviously later, but one example was grinding on the rails.
Mm.
So when you grind, if I'm grinding on a rail to the right and it's just my cart, just the front and rear right wheels, you only feel the rumble on that side of the controller.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
which is really cool. I'm like, oh, this is
Yeah.
awesome.
I don't think I've heard that from anybody yet. So that's I know we were asking on the uh Nin Topic podcast, we were asking Paul Gale if you had to like balance when you were grinding.
Oh,
And he
like you
was
would in Tony Hawk.
like Tony Hawk. Yeah. And
Yeah.
he's like, I don't think you did. I think it was just kind of you're just kind of there. So
Yeah, no, you did. And I think the biggest thing was some of the grinding areas. And I think there's a certain level or a certain track that really showcases it. And I think it's the train track level. It's called like whistling something. But
oh, okay.
Obviously, it's a train track, so there's going to be a lot of rails.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing is switching to the left side, and then when that rail's about to run out, now it's going to the right. So now you're pressing the joystick right and moving to the right,
Yeah.
moving to the left. And it's like you can fall off the rail if you want and just race normal, but you're obviously not going to get the turbo boost. So
So
that's
does
kind of
does does grinding give you almost like your mini turbos?
yeah.
And do they build up to ultra? Well, it probably couldn't with the assists on.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it built up to ultra. I know I got a boost from it for sure. And actually,
Yeah.
when we do the Mario Kart podcast, we can look because there is a time that I grind towards the end of my race, and I know right where it's at, and we'll be able to tell by obviously the color
Gotcha. Okay.
of the turbo there. But
Yeah, I just know in 8 Deluxe, if you have the assist on, you can't go above super.
oh, okay,
It won't hit ultra mini turbos with the assist on.
interesting. You know, I have never used that.
The assist?
Yeah, never used it. In fact, I'll be honest with you, I didn't know it existed until Tucker Hazel had mentioned it.
Oh,
And I'm
okay.
like, "What is this?" And I Googled it. I'm like, "Oh, that's awful. It sounds like you're going bowling with bumpers."
Yeah. It's perfect if you have very young children that want to be able to
Totally.
play. Like I played with a 3-year-old not that long ago.
Oh,
I gave her
nice.
the controller for the first time, turned on auto acceleration, turned on the assists. If she decides to not pay attention, she's still racing.
Yeah, great for kids, no doubt. No doubt.
What's
Definitely a
what's
place for
crazy,
it.
it's on by default in
Yeah.
8. So a lot of people don't even know that they're and then you turn that off, all of a sudden you're falling off a rainbow road. You can't fall off, you also can't take shortcuts with it on because
Ugh,
it
sounds awful.
it thinks that you're driving off the track.
Yeah.
And so but advanced players, if they make a little bit of a wrong turn and start to fall off, will pause their game, turn it on, get back on the track, pause their game, turn it back off, and then keep racing.
That's funny. Clever.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay, let's talk real quick about GameCube controller, and then we will dive into all the games.
Yeah, so I'll just say that again, GameCube was the first console I camped out for, so I was in high school, junior. I am very obviously familiar with GameCube. I bought the Wavebird the day it came out. Was very excited for a wireless controller that was first party. That's a
Same
huge deal
here.
back then.
Oh yeah.
Massive deal.
Yep.
Love the Wavebird also. I don't know anyone who doesn't love the Wavebird, but I know there's a lot of concerns as far as the analog triggers going into it. People were wondering if it was going to have them and how it would compare to the Wavebird. And all I got to say is that everything feels 1 to 1, literally 1 to 1. It feels like you're holding a GameCube controller, but it's wireless.
Okay.
And to me, that's perfect. What more could you ask for?
Yeah. Well, I'll hold mine up right here. This is from Club Nintendo Japan.
Ah, beautiful.
And the guts are from a company called Battle Beaver because I would wear out my sticks and get what's called snapback when I played Smash. But this has been my main controller for Smash, obviously, but then also for Mario Kart because you can, when you plug the controller in, if you press up on the stick just briefly, like just a little bit, it puts your soft drifting directly at 90 and 45 degrees. So you can use the gate around the stick to go right into the because on the GameCube controller it's kind of cut like a hexagon kind of thing. And so you can soft drift right without having to go below the 90 or below the 45. And so
Wow.
it's been the other aspect of it is the D-pad becomes the motion controls. So if you're doing wave gliding, you can use the D-pad for your secondary input because that's what motion does when you wave glide. And except you can leave motion on all the time. You don't have to turn it on when you hit the ramp and then turn it back off again.
I,
So
I did not know
some
any of that.
some crazy
I'm learning
stuff that you could
something new.
do
Yeah.
with the GameCube controller on Mario Kart.
You got my mind going in all different directions thinking about that. I'm gonna have to look into that after.
Yeah, but overall, I mean, did it feel like just a classic, like the classic GameCube controller in the palm of your hands?
Yeah, it felt like I picked up where I left off when I last used a GameCube controller, and like I use a GameCube controller for Smash. Uh,
Perfect.
yeah, I just prefer it. I think it's the best.
Yeah.
But yeah, it felt perfect. I will be pre-ordering it as soon as they'll allow us to.
I know. I hope it's not as. I got lucky with like the 64 when they.
I
I
feel like
ordered.
I did too.
I got 4 of them right off the bat, like no problem. And I know there's people that are still trying to get those things. So like,
Same here. I had no problem getting the 64 controller, so
yeah,
I hope we can walk into the same thing here.
yeah, and it may not be as since it only works on Switch 2. I assume. I don't know if if the GameCube controller will work on Switch 1. I know that only the GameCube games are on Switch 2, so that's kind of interesting.
Well, it'll be interesting to see. I'm sure you've seen some of the reports out there, and I think it will work, but obviously we'll have to wait and see. But I suspect that if the next Smash Brothers comes out and has GameCube's controller support, which I presume it should, that we should be able to use that controller. I don't see why not.
I'll be afraid to. I'd wear it out.
Right?
I would
It
be
sounds like you
honestly
would, yeah.
I would honestly be afraid because I've worn out, I think 3 or 4 regular GameCube controllers, and I'm talking the newer ones from like I bought like a Smash 4 white Smash. I wore those guts out. I wore yeah, the newer controllers I've just unfortunately just wore them out from playing so much Smash. So but well, I love that. I mean, GameCube is fantastic. Let's talk the GameCube games and then just kind of go through the list.
Yeah, so for GameCube, I played F-Zero. I asked the Nintendo rep, he said I was the first one to ask, and I went on Saturday, so that means nobody asked on Friday.
Mm.
And I asked him if we could put on CRT mode, and he was really excited. So
Nice.
we
Okay.
yeah, we put it on, just check it out. I played both of the games on there. The 2 games I played, which were shown earlier, was F-Zero and Wind Waker, and of course, I played both of them a lot growing up, my teenage years. We put F-Zero in widescreen mode too, because I asked him, like, I got to see that obviously. So we played that in widescreen mode with the CRT filter, and I thought it looked really nice. Uh, the resolution was upscaled. To what degree, he did not know, but from what I've gathered, from what I've read, I think it's around like 960
Okay.
resolution, 980.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, yeah, I think 960. It's not obviously a common
It
resolution.
it should be because that would be double
Yeah,
what the original.
480.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what it was then. It was that. I was actually just discussing that I was replying to all the comments on the YouTube videos, and someone's like, don't you have a GameCube? Like, Steve, don't you still have yours? Why does this really matter? Like, cuz man, GameCube's 480. So is the Wii. You try plugging that into your TV right
Yeah.
now. Do you know how it looks? There could be input lag. And I said, I have a Retro Tink 5X I use. And even still, I would rather play it like this. And
Yeah.
I get online play with F-Zero and Soul Calibur and Mario Strikers. Like,
And Double Dash potentially. We could
yeah,
finally do 16-player Double Dash. Like,
exactly. All we had back then was the broadband adapter. And
mhm.
even then, like after I feel like the initial allotment, they weren't really restocking that, Nintendo, as far as first party was concerned. I think they had one third party dev doing a broadband uh, adapter, and it might have been Japan. It might have been an import. I can't recall. Obviously, it was just so long ago. But obviously, to be able to go back and play these games again with online play, I feel like you can't put a price tag on that, which is why NSO subscription is so valuable, my opinion. But
I'm going to be praying to the Nintendo gods continually that somehow Time Splitters 2 and 3 get put onto NSO.
I was thinking about Time Splitters. I actually brought it up not too long ago. And Time Splitters came to PS5 recently. Did you know that?
I feel like the first game or the
PlayStation
second
Premium.
game? Oh, okay. Interesting.
I think all of them. Like I have PlayStation Premium, so I could download. I think Time Splitters 1, 2, I forget 3. What
Future
the
Perfect?
Yeah, they're all
Yeah.
on there.
Oh,
So when I saw
amazing.
that,
Okay.
yeah, Josh, so like when I saw that, my first thought was, I wonder if these will come to NSO. Sounds like they got
Yeah.
things sorted out as far as, the rights to the games and everything.
I thought the I thought the company that bought the rights went under shortly after, so I was like, I thought they'd be lost.
I thought so too. That's why I was so surprised to see Time Splitters. Like, oh, really? Guess they got that sorted out. That's good.
Mhm.
Sounds like someone, bought the IP. Maybe I don't know,
Yeah.
but at any
Yeah.
rate, I would not be surprised to see it.
Ready for game number 4, let's go.
Yeah. So okay, GameCube NSO. We talked about that. I guess talk about the game that's on screen right now. So Hades 2. This is a game that I have very much been anticipating. It's been in early access for the past year. Spent, I think, the majority of 2024 in early access. And I didn't have really any interest in being part of early access and buying into it. I could. I just really didn't want to. I really enjoyed playing it on console on my PS5, the full version. I also have it on Switch. But this was my first experience with a roguelite. And after playing this, absolutely loved it. Then I ended up playing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate, which is a roguelite, excellent game. And then Dead Cells Return to Castlevania.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
very excited, obviously, to play that because I love Castlevania. But I would just say if you've never played a roguelite, Hades is a great place to start. And this is no doubt a game that I'll be buying on day one. This is a huge get for Nintendo because they have console exclusivity for Hades 2, which is just a massive deal. One thing I will mention that you guys will see, like on screen, the colors look so good, but in person, and this goes for all the footage that's seen from the event. Uh, on my iPhone, I have iPhone 16 Pro Max, so I record it in 4K 60 with the HDR on, and I had an external SSD enclosure, 1 terabyte that I connected to my phone as well. So only problem is I had to also connect my Rode wireless mics, right? So I only have so many ports to work with.
Yeah.
But when you see this in person, the HDR literally pops off the screen. And what's interesting is that HDR is not new. Like I have my PS5, I'm a day one owner of PS5. I got my Xbox. I've seen HDR for a long time. We've seen it in movies. The way Nintendo is using it with Switch 2 is it's like eye candy, man. It's really wild how great the colors look and how much it feels like they pop off the screen.
Mm.
And I don't think we were using like super high end TVs, right? These are just normal, I think, probably entry level TVs. So it was very exciting for me to see the HDR be used in a way that I haven't seen with, say, PS5 or Xbox. It made me wonder why. But that's one thing I will say is that the HDR is in full effect. So hopefully you have a TV that has a wide color HDR gamut. Because if you do, it's going to look insane. So Hades played great though. It was running at 60 FPS, no issues at all. As far as the resolution, I'm not sure if it was running at 4K or 1440, but or it could have been running at 720p and it was upscaled to 1440.
Mm.
To me, whatever it was running at is irrelevant. What is relevant is how good it looked. And like I I'm I think you could say that I'm pretty sensitive to that kind of thing as far as how the image looks and the frame rate. I can always tell what the frame rate is. I don't need Digital Foundry to tell me, but thank you for being there. I appreciate them. I just don't need them to tell me. I know what it is. That game played excellent. So that's Hades 2 for you in a nutshell. Do you have any questions at all on Hades, Josh, before I move to the next one?
It is unfortunately not a series I've played, and I bought it on Switch.
Oh,
I
yeah.
know it's fantastic. Cheesy
So
has
good.
talked about it like he just loves it. I'm not a huge roguelike fan, unfortunately, but um
Yeah.
I know it's one that's like kind of on my list to maybe it'll change my mind about the genre.
This is one of the games I'm most excited about to pick up,
Okay.
like right around whatever time it releases. I don't think we have a release date yet. We just know it's console exclusive. Correct me if I'm wrong, but my
Uh,
cousin also has never played Hades. I referred him to play it. He does not play roguelites. He doesn't even know what a roguelite is. I
yeah.
had to, I explained to him. Dude ended up loving it. He's kind of picky about his games. So I am I for anyone I've recommended it to, they've loved it. So I'm like shooting 100% right there with Hades.
Hey, there you go. There you go. I know it's a. I'm sure there are plenty of people disappointed that it is a Switch console exclusive.
I
Like,
would be. If I had no intention of picking up Switch 2 hypothetically, I was only a PS5 owner, I would be disappointed for sure.
yeah,
Because this
and I'm sure
can
it's
be fun.
timed.
Yeah, I would definitely presume that it's just a timed console exclusive, probably 6 months, maybe a year.
Yeah.
So it's nothing. Uh, let's see. Moving on. I'll get some of the other third party stuff real quick out of the way. Harry Potter or Hogwarts Legacy.
Okay.
So I have Hogwarts Legacy on PS5. I bought Michaela Hogwarts Legacy on Switch. She really likes Harry Potter. And I played through, I don't know, maybe half the game.
Mm-hmm.
And let me switch this over real quick. I played through about half the game. Michaela beat the whole game on Switch. So I've seen the differences. On
Yeah.
PS5, it's fully open world.
Okay.
On Switch, it's open zone at best, right? Because obviously Switch didn't have the horsepower
Mm-hmm.
to be able to generate the whole open world and leave it open. They had to close it off to zones, which makes sense. Some of the controls were jank because of the frame rate, because the frame rate would suffer on Switch One. These were like some of the issues, right? But because the game was so fun, people still played it, and I get it. Even Michaela would ask me to like beat hard sections for like the flying sections, which normally, yeah, that was really exciting, but I did not love doing it because the
Mm-mm.
controls were just so janky, right? With the Switch 2 version, all that's fixed.
Love it.
So if you've played it, this is like the next gen version. It does not run at 60 FPS. I think it ran between 30 and 40 frames, possibly with VRR. And as far as resolution, again, it could have been 720p upscale to 1440 for all I know,
Mm.
or it could have been 4K. But whatever upscaling, you know, we know it's obviously DLSS, but the way they're using the upscaling makes everything look super clean, super crisp. So, bottom line is you're walking away with a great image. Who cares what the number is? The image looks great. That's how I felt about it. Moving on, we can talk about, let's go Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah.
Okay. Obviously, that was really exciting to play. I was there on day one to play it on GameCube, as I'm sure I know you were, Josh.
Oh yes.
We've been there for all of them. And it was an exciting moment. It was a little surreal. Finally be there, be like, wow, I'm actually playing this. This is awesome. Uh, the settings were at 1080p, 120 frames. Says it right on the logo for the game. So if you actually look at my footage, you can see where it says 1080p 120. I didn't realize until I got home and looked at my footage that it was at 1080p 120.
Mm,
I think that's a good thing because I thought it was higher resolution because it looked so good. So now
nice.
I'm just like, how's it going to look 4K 60?
Yeah.
Because, do I need the 120? I've
Well,
played
and correct
some,
me if I'm wrong, but won't Switch 2 do 2K 120?
it should. It, sh- it should.
It depends on the game, right? It's
Yeah.
game dependent.
Yeah. And like the PS5 has 1440, but it took, I think, like 2 years for them to add 1440. I was part of that beta to test that out.
Mm,
Not a lot of developers have settings for 1440, like to actually run the games a certain way, right?
hmm.
So I don't know like how much of a gain you're getting from that on say a PS5, but maybe on Switch it'll be a little different on Switch 2. Not sure.
I just know
But
most of my like my the monitors -1 has all most of my monitors have been 1440. So like playing like Halo Infinite has been uh I typically play at 1440 120 on my Series X, and like it's buttery smooth, you know.
yeah, I believe that. It it looked fantastic. I think that's the biggest thing is that not only did it look fantastic, but it played fantastic. Try and get some Metroid footage up here for you as I'm talking about it, but
Oh, nice.
uh, looked crystal clear. I think the biggest thing with Metroid that obviously a lot of people should want to know about is the mouse Joy-Con controls.
Mm,
And for me, that was amazing, Josh. I don't know why I would, I guess, play in any other mode because it felt that good. Obviously, I tried the different settings. So I tried playing with just the mouse Joy-Con and or not just the mouse Joy-Con, but the separate Joy-Con.
yeah.
And that felt good. But the fact that you're able to change it on the fly to me was a huge deal. And that
Hmm.
it's 1-to-1. So nothing changes. It's not like you have to press pause and go into a pause menu, right? That was a huge deal to me. Like you literally can just change your play style. And normally I wouldn't do that if I thought it was going to be a detriment.
Hmm.
Like if you're fighting a boss in any game, would you change your control style on the fly? Probably not. Like I'm probably not
No.
going to change my grip. But the fact that I could just literally be in mouse mode and then flip it up, it's one motion and I'm there. So I was going back and forth trying it,
Yeah.
but I ended up sticking with mouse mode because for me it felt like the evolution of the Wiimote with Metroid Prime Trilogy.
Hmm.
In that I felt like the way you're able to precisely move it, because the mouse just controls Samus's arm cannon. You're still moving with the left stick.
Yeah.
It felt like your arm, the mouse movement is an extension of the arm cannon. It is quite
Okay.
immersive. And
Yeah.
the way you can aim like with precision with it, it also kind of reminded me of like playing a light gun game, like playing Time Crisis or something at the arcade.
Interesting. Okay.
But it's obviously you're playing Metroid. I'm like, this is, yeah, that was the biggest thing. I'm like, this is interesting. Like, this is wild. I mean, I could see myself playing the whole game like this. A lot of people asked about the comfort. Like, I'm getting a lot of comments on my videos about the comfort. Is it
Yeah.
comfortable? I've heard from some people it's not, and this that. It was completely comfortable. There's nothing wrong with it. No issue whatsoever.
Hmm.
It felt normal. My hand was fine. I felt like I could do it for hours. And I've probably jammed all of my fingers like 20 times each. So, from basketball over the years. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like my hands aren't in like the best, I guess you could say, shape from all of that, but it felt fine. So if it was jank, if it felt weird, I would tell everybody, but it felt perfectly fine. And I would presume, and I'm sure you would too, that they're going to have third-party accessories anyways. Like if you don't like it, there's going to be a solution out there for you, just like with the Nitro deck.
Oh, they're selling this game with a Metroid mouse. I guarantee
You
it.
should.
I guarantee it. That's going to have a big cardboard box. It's going to have the
Yeah.
Metroid Prime 4 mouse. Like I just can't see them not doing it, you know.
Yeah. I think they totally should, and they should sell it with a, mouse runner pad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
we use. They all had mouse runner pads for this, for Dragon Drive, Civ 7. Yeah, mouse runner pads were there.
So
Go ahead.
you really think you'll play Metroid with a Joy-Con in one hand and over the Pro controller?
Yeah, I'm gonna
Interesting.
definitely start that way.
What about like when Splatoon comes out? Are you a Splatoon player?
A little bit, not like hardcore.
Okay.
Uh, I would say when it comes out, yeah, obviously try playing that way. It felt really normal. It felt natural, and I felt like I had much more precision over my aim.
Hmm.
I think that was the biggest thing. It almost felt like you had an advantage, but it was like a legal advantage because it's just based on how I'm choosing to use the controller. I'm not cheating. I'm just using
Right.
mouse mode. There's more precision here.
Yeah.
So it's very cool. Any questions in general on Metroid?
I mean, didn't you get further than people had seen, if I remember correctly? Was that you that said that? Got through the boss fight or something that they weren't used to people seeing at the
Yeah,
demo?
yeah. The lady did say that I did really good, and that most people aren't getting past the boss because it's a
Yeah.
timed demo. So
Gotcha. Yeah. I got you.
yeah. So yeah, I got to the end, which is where I actually got to see the cutscene. I presume that you don't get to see the cutscene if you don't beat the boss.
Oh, with Silux and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was
Are
cool.
are you are you excited for Metroid after playing it? Because I feel like it has not been showing the best.
After playing it, I was more excited. I walked away very confident, and my mindset was, if people don't like it, then nothing's changed. And that most fans weren't there for it before.
Yeah.
But for all of us who have been playing Metroid our whole lives, we're gonna love it. So I that's how I walked away, and that, hey, hopefully this catches on, because sure, we'd love to see Metroid sell more, because obviously if it sells better, we're gonna get more Metroid in our lives.
Yeah.
But for anyone who's a fan of the Prime series, this is it. It's very good. It was a ton of fun. I just wanted to play it more.
I would say that Metroid Dread was one of the biggest evolutions in the 2D Metroid series. Do you feel like Metroid Prime 4 is as big of an evolution, or does it play it maybe a little safe? And when I talk evolution, let me clarify a little bit too. Samus is elegant in Dread. Her movement is fluid. There's just this sense that like sometimes in like Super Metroid, she felt a bit like a tank, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like the Prime series, it's almost like she's like slower and maybe a little clunky, almost like the way George Lucas envisioned lightsabers being like Excalibur, and then by the time we got to the prequels, they were getting whipped around like katanas.
Yeah.
Like, do you feel like Prime 4 has elements at least? Because I realize this is just a demo. They're not
Super controlled demo. Yeah.
I don't think they're giving us too much here, but did it did it feel at all like an evolution of the series? Did it feel like a modern shooter, or did it feel like a shooter that was 15 years old?
Uh, it felt different than the other Metroid games. It did, but in a weird way with that mouse control.
Okay.
Like, again, it almost felt like I was using a light gun in a first person shooter, which is odd, right? Like,
Yeah.
imagine playing Call of Duty with a light gun. It's just like, this is interesting, but I
I've
like it. It's just weird. It's new. This is new to me.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. I think part of the reason, like having the precision of a mouse with Metroid, you don't go for headshots in this game. Like, you have a lock-on feature, right? And I think that's where part of my disconnect a little bit with Prime 4, where I'm like, I'm stoked about it. It's a day one purchase, no question. I'm gonna play it.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like it's missing the like if it's gonna give us some precision, she almost needs like a kinetic shot or something that is like more like a bullet, not just like the plasma that just kind of follows, you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
so that's where I'm like, I think I sit in a place of just a little bit worried that this is not going to grab a new audience. And it I'm hoping I'm wrong, and I'm hoping that like by the time we get through like through this game, the new armor and everything, the new like the blaster is just insane. There's very much gonna be a reason for precision mouse controls and that kind of stuff. And that like that we're that I trust retro,
I
you
used
know,
to. Yeah.
like I believe in retro. So
Too.
I'm not worried about it too much. I'm just concerned about the way it's showing, and that like they've if they want to pick up that shooter fan base, they got to give them good reason to buy this game.
Yeah. I think, again, like I walked away more excited for it because of the mouse controls and the HD rumble on it's very cool. But I really believe they're hiding a lot. Similar
Yeah,
to how I believe they're hiding a lot with Mario Kart, right?
yeah, sure.
Even though I think we've seen more of Mario Kart for sure than we have of Metroid, but I just think they're hiding a lot. Honestly, this was just a very controlled demo. It felt like a tutorial, the opening tutorial of a game, which could very well be. It seems like it probably is. So,
The opening sequence got me hyped, bro. The way the ship flies in
me too.
and
That's where it hit me too. And hearing the
like,
music, the classic Metroid theme, I was like,
yes.
which
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think a lot of
So
people probably couldn't hear because it's so loud in there. But I was like listening for it in hopes that I
mm,
would hear it, and then I did. So I immediately recognized the theme.
love
I'm
it.
like, oh, because I was hoping it would be there. I mean, it's classic, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Okay, I love that. eh, I'm more hyped too, just talking to you. Like hearing about it. Like, not that I wasn't like, my hype level wasn't down. I just want it's all of this stuff. The hype level gets crushed by knowing that like there are things that are turning people off in the community about, the pricing of games and how Metroid
Yeah,
Prime is showing and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, no, I want people stoked. I want people happy. I want people excited to be Nintendo fans. You know what I mean? So
I do.
that's where it's all spawns from. But well, this has gone way longer. So I don't want to. I want to make sure that we kind of touch on everything. So why don't we do like a like a
Want to go blast processing through
like,
this?
yeah, let's blast process through there's the handful of the other games. I know I saw you playing some Zelda,
Yeah.
and I don't think anybody played Civilization. And then uh if there was any other third parties, but then maybe do camp out on Donkey Kong just a
Yeah.
little bit, because
I will.
I know there's going to be some people that are very curious about that.
Okay. Cool. So let me look at this list here. All right. Let's start with Zelda then. So played Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. There's two stations next to each other. And I got to play in handheld mode as well as docked mode for both games. I think there's some confusion. There could be misinformation out there. We don't know, right? Because we haven't seen a press release. But when I talked to the Nintendo rep, they said the game was running in 4K. I heard Digital Foundry. Some people quoted that in the comments saying, "Well, Digital Foundry, said this." And it's like, look, Digital Foundry has not played the game yet. We all know that. They've said they have not played, so they're looking at compressed YouTube footage, right? Which does not do it justice. And again, a lot of people are not even recording, from what I've seen on the internet, in HDR. So if you're not doing that, you're definitely not even getting the full effect of the thing. But I will say this: that the rep said it was 4K. Uh, it could be 1440p upscaled to 4K. What I know is that it looked absolutely stunning. The HDR is insane. The
Yeah.
colors pop off the screen. It's silky smooth. Everything is snappy. I don't know if you remember just like pressing the pause button and navigating the map, just kind of like a slower frame
Y-
rate.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're putting down, your markers, your beacons, and just kind of slow, a little bit clunky, but it was fine. 'Cause Zelda, it's great. But all that's gone. Silky smooth. It feels like a new game in a lot of ways. So I walked away. I went into it thinking that, hey, if, and this is months ago, if we do get Breath of the Wild 4K 60, like we've talked about for the past year and a half since Gamescom 2023, if we do get it, I would probably play it again because I beat it in March 2017. So
Same here. Yeah.
yeah, it's been 8 years, man.
Right.
That's long enough for me to return to Zelda, to a game, knowing that it's going to look and play drastically better. So that's how I went into it. Coming out of it, I was just like, I mean, I'm going to play Mario Kart first. But as far as what I'm going to play second, might be Breath of the Wild. And then, jump
Interesting.
into Tears of the Kingdom because it was that good. It was that
Yeah.
good. And um, another thing is, I didn't notice any drop off
Mm.
from handheld to docked. Like they both ran flawlessly. The frame rate was great. The picture quality phenomenal. So I was very, very pleased with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. And we all know Tears of the Kingdom really could benefit from better performance. On Breath of the Wild, I made a point to go to Korok Forest. There was a save for it, so I went to that save to see how it would run, because we know that it obviously suffered a lot there, and it was amazing. The particle effects looked very, very nice. The volumetric fog looked great. The shadows, the sunlight coming through the trees looked like you could touch it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was like, God, they did such a good job. Like, wow. I was really impressed, like thoroughly impressed with that. So that's where I was at with Zelda. Let's see. We'll talk about Mario Kart next. Switch to Welcome Tour. I'll just touch on this briefly. I know a lot of people are upset that Nintendo is charging for what everyone is calling a glorified tutorial without knowing anything about it. Let
Right.
me tell you, when I saw that Nintendo was charging for it, I was happy. Nobody else really was, right? Josh, you might have been, because you know why. If Nintendo's charging for it, that means there's a lot more to it. It's not a glorified tutorial, because they wouldn't do that. And I was proven right, no doubt, at the event. It's very cool. I think for any Nintendo fan, this is an awesome piece of software because it's just chock full of like Nintendo Easter eggs and quirky Nintendo stuff. There's tons of mini games that use the mouse Joy-Con that even you can even see it in my video on my YouTube. They're quite addicting to the point that I didn't even do as much as I would have liked to have done because I kept playing this mini game. Because again,
Mm.
I'm competitive and you win medals. So that was one big thing is that we all know there's medals, right? In Zelda and Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild. And I confirmed with the rep, and of course I earned some medals in the game, but there he said there's over 80 medals in the game. So there's a lot of stuff to do. There's a lot of stuff to find. And I watched some more footage when I got home to kind of like put everything together. I watched some of the treehouse footage of the welcome tour and kind of like looked at that based on my experience with it and tried to kind of put the puzzle together in my head of what this is going to look like.
Mm.
And I already told him though to the Nintendo rep when I walked away, I'm like, I can see why this is worth $10, and that's a good deal. So that's where I stand with that.
I saw the first level of Super Mario Brothers was in it, and I was like, "Oh, I'll pay for it."
Yeah, right. The way it stretches out to 4K
Yeah.
is so cool in my opinion. So yeah, I was very excited about that. Um, let's go Cyberpunk 2077. That was a good
Okay.
one. So guys, this is the Ultimate Edition, and everything comes on the cart, including the DLC. I confirmed that with Radek Grabowski. He's the CDPR director for Cyberpunk and for the Witcher series. Very nice. He was there watching everyone play it, kind of gathering feedback. Here he is on screen there. Very nice guy. Uh, one thing about Cyberpunk that it's known for is the colors, right? Especially of Night City. It's like the neons and stuff.
Oh
And
yeah.
again, I have it on PS5 and the colors pop off the screen. And when you see it in person, it's very evident how great it looks. As far as how it plays, again, there's a lot of theories going on out there about what the resolution is. And all I could say is it looked phenomenal, right? Uh, I'm under the impression that the game was running at 40
Mm-hmm.
FPS with VRR. Some people have said 30. I've heard it's running at 40 in docked mode, and that's how it felt. Whether it is or isn't, I think that just says more about the game and the experience, and that it felt really good.
Did any aspect of Cyberpunk feel like Doom on Switch One?
No. Nope.
And you know what I'm saying? How like, I mean, it was very, very compressed. Very like, did you feel like you were having more of a, because I think Cyberpunk on like the Xbox One and the PS4 was a complete cluster, if I remember correctly. Like there was like
Yeah, it was.
hardly any NPCs. Like
Yeah, it
if
was.
this was your only way to play Cyberpunk, would you recommend or would you do it?
Yes. And I actually brought that up. Actually, same thing you just said in my video. Like, if this is your only way to play it, like, would I buy it? And the answer is undoubtedly yes. I would totally recommend this, especially for $70 to get the base game plus the DLC expansion, which is $30. It barely ever goes on sale. And when it does, it only goes on sale for like 10% off on PlayStation Store.
Mm.
So you're getting, I think, a lot of bang for your buck to be able to play Cyberpunk on the go. And, again, this is one of those games that I think is only going to get better as we get closer. And this is a launch title. So obviously, this is a game you can pick up on day one that is just tons of hours, tons of content, a great
Yeah.
time. And Josh, yeah, I had it pre ordered on PS4. I still have the PS4 version is my PS5 version because I upgraded it. But
Yeah, yeah.
I got the PS4 Steelbook from Best Buy. I
Okay.
saw what it looked like on day one. I know all about it, and I didn't play it because of that until a couple of years later when I could throw it back into rotation.
Right.
So yeah, I know how bad it was, and playing this and comparing it to the PS4 version, yeah, there's no comparison. It's almost like comparing the Harry Potter games, Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
Okay.
if the Switch One Hogwarts Legacy is comparable to like the PS4 version of Cyberpunk, then the Switch 2 version of Hogwarts Legacy would be then comparable to the Switch 2 version of Cyberpunk. And that this is like the next gen version. I would totally recommend it. I think it's going to do really well. I bet it probably reviews around at 8 to 9 out of 10.
Love it.
Yeah.
Do you feel, I mean, obviously there's only a handful of games, so I'm not like I won't hold you to this, but like the when Switch 1 dropped, the saying was every game on Switch, right? Like every game on Switch. Everybody wants every, and then that saying kind of started to fade after we started seeing things like Doom and um The Witcher and that kind of stuff. It's still crazy that they were there. Do
Yeah.
you feel that we could say every game on Switch 2 at this point? Like,
Yeah. If Vegas opened up a betting line and I could bet on it, I would.
what about
Like
GTA 6?
I think yes, because if it's coming to, and I've said this from day one. Okay, like if it's coming to Series S, then it's coming to Switch too.
There you go.
And as of right now, it's still coming to Series S. So why wouldn't it be able to run on Switch 2 utilizing DLSS?
Yeah.
That's exactly how I look at it, and I just don't see why it wouldn't. And I think if you're Take Two, you have to get it on there because the amount of money you're gonna make, like you have to do this just for the shareholders
Yeah.
to be fiscally responsible in that sense. You have to get it onto Switch too, and I think you can get it on there running. Again, we haven't seen GTA 6 outside of the trailer, right?
Right.
Um, but I don't see why it wouldn't be able to run
Well,
at least 30 FPS. But it just
we
depends.
have this conversation talking only consoles as if they aren't making it for older graphics cards as well.
Exactly.
Like if it needs to be optimized for older tech because they want this in as many hands as possible.
Exactly.
And so if I feel like a lot of, especially a company like Rockstar, they're going to do everything in their power to make sure that it runs in as many places as possible, whether it's a performance mode or a whatever the case may be. Like, I think it's very doable.
If you're Rockstar, you're only competing with yourself as
Mhm.
far as breaking records, right? So if you're internally a Rockstar, you want to beat GTA 5's record. And if you look at what they've released, and I'm sure you've seen probably the graphic showing what, the timeline of games that have released. And
Yeah,
it's been
yeah,
like
yeah.
Red Dead 2. It was like GTA 5, Red Dead 2, and we're waiting on GTA 6.
Yeah.
It's crazy. GTA 5 came out in my 20s and GTA 6 will now be out in my 40s.
Right.
It's wild. So you have to make the money back because we all know this was not cheap and we don't
No.
know how much they're going to charge for the game. That's a whole nother discussion. And of course, how much people are willing to spend, all of that. That's all something that's a bridge we're all going to have to cross together as gamers.
You're right.
But it should be a lot of fun. I think you have to get it on Switch too, though, with what the install base is going to be like,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And just like
Yeah.
you said, you have to optimize it for as many graphic cards as possible, and Switch 2 is in that same category, and that you have to get it for Switch 2.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
you want me to hit any of these other games, or you want to?
I feel like, is there anything of note that you're like, did you do Kirby? Is there anything you want to speak on that one?
I didn't play it, but we watched it while we were in line. And again, that was a game where the colors just popped off the screen. It looks so good. That was one I'm like super excited to upgrade to the Switch 2 version. Um, Dragon Drive.
Yeah.
I love basketball, right? Played my whole life. I messed up, shredded my Achilles tendon, was in a wheelchair. Know what it's like. Have played some wheelchair basketball. A lot of respect for it. I gotta say, that game was extremely fun. If it's
Hmm.
priced appropriately, meaning good enough that it can build an online community, that could have some legs for sure. Like that could do really well.
That was not the pun.
Yeah. Well, opposite of arms, right?
Right.
It reminds me of arms, but our Switch 2 version of it, right?
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun, man. Again, like you're doing tricks off like half pipes and scoring the basket. So it was a lot of fun. We played 3-on-3. And so again, just like in that atmosphere was a ton of fun. Mario Party Jamboree TV mode, you could hear everyone playing it from anywhere in the whole
Oh,
building.
from the laughing?
Yeah, just going nuts.
Okay.
Like people are like losing it in there.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, wow, people are really. I said to Michaela, people are really loving Mario Party Jamboree. Like those sound like genuine laughs. You know what I
Well,
mean? Like,
it's the most expensive game at launch if you want to fully play everything, because you have to buy the camera.
yeah. Well, yeah, for sure. Are you going to use a USB-C camera like your own, or are you going to buy the Switch 2 camera?
I don't even know, like, it wouldn't even fit on my setup right now. So I'm not sure. I'll
I
probably end up getting a face cam of some kind.
I have an extra face cam, like the older Elgato face cam
Yeah.
that's 1080p 60, and like I'll probably just end up using that and see how it works out. Uh, I do really like that it's on a stand though.
Hmm.
That is convenient for what we're trying to do here.
Where did they put you for Cyberpunk? Because I'm just curious. That's an M-rated game.
Yeah, so it's a mature area. There's a sign that
Oh,
says
okay.
mature content only, and it's back behind a wall.
Gotcha. Okay. I was just curious how they worked that is all.
Yeah, that was there in Yakuza, which
Gotcha.
Yakuza also looked very good.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, um, give us. I think we'll Donkey Kong. I just want to
DK.
get a little bit deeper dive in that. Before we do, again, guys, a reminder: we're gonna do an episode of The Dirt, which you can find on wherever you listen to podcasts. Um, just give us your hype levels for Mario Kart before we jump into Donkey Kong.
Hype level for Mario Kart is just absolutely through the roof. It was so good. It looked beautiful. Again, the colors popped off the screen, ran beautifully. The controls tight as could be. I felt like the track design was excellent
Mm.
in that like if you're a power slider, which obviously I know you are, Josh,
Oh yeah.
uh man, I felt like it catered to people who power slide based on the course design. Like if you know how to do it, like you're gonna have a lot of fun. You're gonna be power sliding all over the place.
Oh yeah.
Uh Knockout mode is the future. That's I knew it was the game changer mode.
Yep.
Uh so much fun. Even little things like how the race starts, which we'll talk about in your podcast. Very cool. The amount of characters, crazy, awesome. They have like Cowboy Mario.
Yeah.
Of course, I had to be. I'm like, that's cool. A lot of carts. The carts don't have like the custom parts from what we know of so far. That's how the game's set up. I don't know if that's going to change. Probably not, but that's how it is right now. But you still have all your cart stats that you can look at. The course variety was really cool. The weather effects awesome. There's so much to love there, and I think that after the direct, everyone's gonna know why it's $80.
Yep.
I see no problem there. I did walk away from the event even more excited for Mario Kart.
Love
In
that.
fact, in fact, I've had a hard time like focusing on what I need to do
Mhm.
because I'm thinking about Switch 2, which is not good.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. Well, let's talk Donkey Kong because it looked like you were having a great time with it. Just smashing through the ground, picking up boulders, and it overall just looks like I'm very hyped for Donkey Kong. Honestly, like it's one that I'm very very excited for. It looks like it's going to scratch that 3D Mario itch. It because it looks so good. It gets me very excited for what a 3D Mario is going to be on Switch 2.
Yeah. That was kind of my takeaway too, right? In that this feels like it was developed by the Mario Odyssey team, which I think is a great thing. Obviously, who doesn't love Mario Odyssey? It felt like I was witnessing parts of DK's origin story just by playing in the available area, just by seeing like the intro to this, and how he's working in a mine.
Yeah.
And it's like you look at DK Country, obviously some of the most memorable levels have been the minecart levels, and it's like I feel like they're tying all of this together for us.
Yeah.
So because it's going to lead into obviously more for the Mario movie too. And I think after the Zelda movie, we'll probably get the DK movie next. And I think Nintendo's just lining everything up for it. So this is very exciting. Just to see like you guys see the elements playing out here. It was just so interesting to see all of this. As far as the graphics, again, you can see like the water there, the reflections, the
Yeah.
sparkle. I thought it looked superb. I know I've seen a couple people, a couple channels mention something about the frame rate, as if like there was a couple times there was a dropped frame or two, and I think I did notice that a little bit, but it was only happened maybe I think a couple of times, and it did not affect gameplay.
Yeah.
And again, this isn't the final build, right? So I think all of that will get sorted out.
Did you feel like you probably played Astrobot, right?
Oh yeah, I loved it.
How would you compare Donkey Kong to Astrobot? Like, because Astrobot, from the little bit that I played, it did really seem like a next gen platformer, 3D platformer, you know? And not that Odyssey did as well, but like this seems like all these particle effects, all that's going on in the world. Like, did this feel a bit more like a next gen experience?
Yeah, it did. I think the biggest thing, like one of my biggest takeaways, was the destruction of the environment. And there was like an area where I am smashing into the ground, essentially just digging into the ground, and I can just keep going and going. I'm like, when's the game gonna cut me off? Right? Like, am I gonna fall through the bottom here? What's going on?
Yeah, yeah.
But what ended up happening is I actually found a secret area where there was a golden banana down there. I'm like, oh geez, that's interesting. Like my head's just like, wow, like that opens up so many possibilities of exploration and secrets. Like if I could just randomly dig into the ground and find a secret, how many secrets are in this game? Well, DK
Mhm.
games have always been known, of course, for secrets. They they reward the explorer, the person who spends too much time probably exploring. You do end up getting rewarded and get more out of the game. But that's kind of how I felt with that. There was collectibles in the game. The rep didn't know, like he wasn't able to say what they're used for. But again, as we know, DK games have collectibles.
Oh yeah.
This reminded me of like a mix of obviously Mario Odyssey, but Banjo Kazooie.
That's
That
the first. As soon as I saw this game, I was like, "This looks like a Banjo Kazooie fan's dream right here."
exactly, and that's what I said in my video too. I'm like, those were the two games that I would really compare it to. And what one comparison I used in the video is that the golden bananas to me are like very reminiscent of the power moons and power stars. And some people were like, yeah, well, there were golden bananas in DK64. So like that's what it is. And it's like, yeah, no, I understand that. But speaking to like a younger generation who didn't play DK64 26 years ago,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like if you're trying to explain relevancy to a person that is 30 years or younger, that's the best way to probably explain it is that they're hidden all throughout and you got to do different things in the game, right? Like there was a part where I had to, I think, get the water flowing into a different area.
Mm. Oh,
And
interesting. Okay.
yeah, like there's stuff to do here. There's objectives, is my point. And when you talk to like certain NPCs, those objectives will open up and they become available on the map. Uh, One thing I did is that I basically went outside and I was like climbing on the wall and I was able to just move around basically the crust, I guess you could say, of like a planet, but
Yeah.
it's the level. And I could just punch into the wall or to the crust, into the core, and make my way back into like the meat and potatoes, the main part of the level. And again, when I did that, I found a golden banana. And again, I was just like, whoa, like what all can you do here? Because this
Yeah.
is like just really opening up a lot of possibilities as far as like exploration. So one of the biggest takeaways was that this game's going to be massive because you could spend hours and hours exploring just like the area that I was in. Uh, One thing they also have, Josh, that I thought was really cool, and I think old school platformers really appreciate this, is that there's like these bonus, I think, kind of like hidden levels, and I found one of them, and they remind me of the platforming levels from Super Mario Sunshine.
Oh, like the acapella music and the lack of flood.
Yeah, which were like some of my favorite levels,
Oh yeah.
and they basically have that here. And you're climbing up on like the chain link, I guess, like fencing that's on the roof, and you're like trying to navigate, and then you have like these pillars that are turning, like you got to move forward on the chain link fence so you could
Oh,
fit
okay.
into like the doorway of the pillars, and you could see in the distance the golden banana that you need to get.
Yeah, yeah.
But you have to navigate, and then there's enemies climbing on, almost like Super Mario World on the chain
Right.
link
Yeah,
fence,
yeah, yeah.
right?
I saw what you're talking about on Treehouse, and I was like, "Yo, this looks so good."
Yeah, that part was a real highlight because I didn't get to see that treehouse because I was flying, right?
Right.
And I was like, whatever. Like just gonna save it for when I get home and enjoy it then instead of trying to watch this while I'm trying to navigate New York also.
Right.
So yeah, I did get to see it later. So, but for me, it was a surprise, and so I was like, oh, this is really cool. Like this is totally Mario Sunshine esque.
Yeah.
Um, like again, like here in this scene, you could see that block that is purple. That's a bomb block. So you can literally like break off a chunk of this and use it to throw at enemies or to uh, break stronger walls that you can't break with, just your fist.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that could open up secret areas similar to Donkey Kong Country. When you take a barrel
Yep.
the bomb barrel, and you throw it into the wall. This is almost like the same thing if you think about it. Or you take Ramby and, open up a wall. It was very similar. Like that wall there, I think you could see it to the left right there. Like that's a wall you can't break with your bare hands, but you take the bomb block to it
There you
and you can.
go. Okay.
Uh, so yeah, just there were so many things going on. Like when you press the pause button, you can look at the map and you can put down a beacon. You could only put one down in the demo. I don't know if you'll be able to put more, but you can turn the map. And it's like really intuitive in that you could see the whole world, but you could zoom in and you can see different areas that are like, oh, I need to go there because that looks odd. That looks a little out of place. And
Oh, okay.
oh, if I zoom in here, I can see, and if I tilt this way, I can see there's a little like crevice in the wall there. And you start seeing all these things. I'm like, this is wild. This is very cool. So I walked away from the event and I got to play it twice. Got to play about 40 minutes of DK. This is
Love
my
it.
second playthrough. And I just walked away from it thinking like, dude, July 17th can't come faster.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to play this. So very, very pleased with it.
It reminded me of Hulk Ultimate Destruction.
Yeah.
And I was immediately so like my boys were very young when that came out, and they of course, I mean, you know, and all this has me thinking about is those younger kids that are going to get a chance to play as Donkey Kong and just literally like how often in games, think back to the NES days and the SNES days, did we want to be able to destroy worlds, right?
Yeah.
And it
Totally.
wasn't until like Red Faction came out that like you could like blow up walls and like blow holes in wall. I remember in Batman Returns on the Super Nintendo,
Hmm.
um, where um, Michelle Pfeiffer's character was being held by that clown, and in the movie, Batman shoots the wall with his grapple hook and pulls the wall on the guy, and that's how he
Yeah.
takes him out. And I remember trying that in the game, and it worked. And to see a destructible environment was like
Huge.
that was such a big deal. And I know it probably sounds a little bit corny to people listening that like grew up with things like Minecraft where you could destroy the whole world if you wanted to, and TNT the whole world or whatever the case may
Yeah.
be. But like this is a like this is the kind of stuff we dreamed about when we were kids, and it's still very magical, if you will, to be able to jump in and play something like this as an adult.
It really is. And I'll just mention this real quick. If you guys for the people that are watching, right? If you see like this screen, it says fix the water shortage. That's what it just came up. And you see in the top left it says that. And so I
Mm.
did. And this is all part of the one world, right? So now the water has opened this area up. And I go down there and it says sublayer like 101. And this is like a whole nother layer of the level.
Oh
And
wow.
that's why I was like, oh, interesting. I'm like looking at Michaela, like, yeah, you're getting this on camera. And the lady, the Nintendo rep to the right, that you can see her reflection, she was talking to me about that too. I was like, yeah, I haven't seen that. And then it just spit me back up to the main part of the demo. So I think twice I found different sub layers, but it wouldn't let you play it.
Oh,
Like,
interesting.
yeah. So I was like, this is really cool, right? And so again, I did this on my second playthrough because my first one, I was just like destroying everything. And so my second one, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna see if I can like just explore as much as possible and get footage of it. And so it was very interesting. And that's what I mean though by like the size and scope just of this level we're playing. It's
Yeah.
like how many of these are in the game? How
Hmm.
many levels of this size?
Yeah.
Is this a level? Is this a world? What is this? Uh, so it's just going to be so interesting to, I think, to see how this all plays out because I think this game's going to be quite massive. Yeah, and you can see like this is the level I was talking about too. That was Super Mario Sunshine
Oh yes. Yep.
esque.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So it's very cool. Yeah, it's gonna be a blast. I really hope this does very well because this
I'm
feels like
with
the
you.
foundation for DK.
Yeah. Yeah, such a great, like, great showing for the and I get not showing a 3D Mario right now. Like, let this game shine.
Yeah, let it cook, and maybe September comes and goes, and we don't have a new Mario game for the 40th. Maybe the plan is again to release it right around the time of the movie. Maybe they show us in September and we get it
Mm,
uh, aligned with the movie in April. For me, after playing this, that's where my head went. In that, I'm good, man. I'm good. I know what the lineup looks like.
yeah.
DK in July. We got Pokemon Za coming. All these other games. Like, if I just felt like if they do that, I think it will be okay because people are going to be playing this. Like, it's really good. So, and it looks like you could spend again just massive amount of hours in this game.
No question. No question. Well, overall, hype levels for Switch 2 after the experience, like you ready for June 5th?
Yeah. Going into it, obviously, hype level is always high, always high. Uh, Leaving it to the moon, literally. Hype levels were to the moon, through the roof, to the moon. I cannot wait to pick up Switch 2. Everything, there was nothing I played that I didn't like. I'm like, God, this is going to be expensive too. 'Cause, like, this is all awesome. I'm gonna have to be like, I'm gonna really have to pick and choose. And thankfully, hey, I have the NSO membership,
Mhm.
so at least Zelda, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom come at no additional charge. That's how you have to say it.
That is confirmed, right?
Yeah, because if you say it's free, everyone will be like, no, no, it's not free because you had to pay for NSO.
Right.
So the way I always say it, no additional charge. That way people can't try and berate you in the comments.
Right. I gotcha. I
Outsmart them
gotcha.
before they can even try. But yeah, it's confirmed to be free. I personally confirmed with the Nintendo rep that Breath of the Wild will not have the DLC. And I know
Yeah.
that's news as of the last couple of days. I just wasn't paying attention because I was editing videos nonstop. Uh, but yeah, won't have the DLC. But again, if you already have it, like I do, like you do, and you have
Yeah.
NSO, it's no additional charge. So it's very cool.
Yeah. Very, very cool. Well, Stash, let people know where they can connect with you and we'll put a bow on this thing. That was supposed to be, we're only an hour and 7 minutes longer than we anticipated. So,
It's tough to get through all these. There's so much good to talk about. But yeah, so you guys can find me on YouTube at Thunder Stash Gaming. And Wednesday nights, the Nintendo Bite podcast every Wednesday. And then on Twitter, you can find me at Thunder Stash _YT. And I'm also, I'm on Instagram, TikTok. I have some shorts on there, but I'm always chatting. I'm chatting it up every day on Twitter. And I'm always on YouTube. I reply to all the comments. I'm replying to, I think it was around 700 or 800 comments. My hands are hurting, but I'm getting through it. I'm almost done. So if you have any comments, you have any questions on the videos, feel free to reach out. And as far as like the Switch 2 footage, I advise watching it in 4K on
mm,
HDR TV. If you have it, it'll look better. And then for what I do on my channel, I review games. That's what I do. I review new and retro games for all consoles, PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, occasionally PC, and then retro gaming. So that's it. Thank you.
awesome. Appreciate you, man. And we will see you guys in the next one. Remember, we're going to be doing a deeper dive into Mario Kart on the next episode of The Dirt, which you can find wherever you listen to podcasts.